There's been a covenant among generations that has existed throughout civilization. And it says that when you're young, I will care for you, and when you're young, you'll care for me. When we look at the demographics in America now, we recognize that there's an age wave going on that was triggered by the 73 million baby boomers that are alive in America. The oldest of them is 78 years old, but by 2030, every one of them will be over 65. How are we going to care for all of our elderly when those baby boomers, many of them didn't have children or didn't have big families or have alienated relationships with their kids? They're estranged from them. How are we going to maintain this covenant among generations? And how will it be when young people are holding resentments that the elderly build up this big national debt that they're having to pay down and sacrifice for?
What I see amongst the religious orders that are dying out is that they're caring for each other, and they're doing a great job of it. And so you could have somebody 84 caring for someone 67 with dementia. And so we're going to take care of each other the best we can. Are standards of care going to come down? Probably.
I'm wondering how people that are living alone will be able to cope if they get Parkinson's or MS or some chronic disease, or when they see the first wave of dementia coming and they never married, didn't have children. What encouragement can you give individuals like that feel this solitude, this aloneness very acutely when they're physically ill?
I think I would say that you're part of a bigger thing called culture, and that there will be somebody to step in if you need the help, and that you have to ask for the help.
Will the faith community step up, do you think?
What I'm certain that we in the faith communities will do everything we can for the people around us, regardless of their faith or non-faith. I'm sure of that. But like the population, we're shrinking. And I think when people see need, and they're allowed to see need, I think they step forward. I think our humanity is alive and well.
Because you have the subjective feeling of loneliness, where the person is just feeling lonely, and then you have the objective isolation, which is someone that's separated from individuals, on a just objective level, they have less and less contact with the outside world. How do we bridge that? I mean, Mother Teresa said loneliness was the worst disease she'd ever seen. How do we combat that disease in the 21st century? What about dementia? You've got 6.7 million Americans with Alzheimer's. How do we reach out to individuals there that are longing to be loved but very confused and then less and less in touch with the world around them? They have cognitive decline. What do we say to the caregivers too, besides just those suffering from dementia? How do you tell the spouse who's exhausted and has her own health problems to care for that dementia husband, the one that has Alzheimer's?
I think we have to stop acting as though life will always be gratifying. And we have to stop behaving as though life is about a continual experience of receiving, either receiving good health, good food, what we want all the time, where we are. I think we can undo that by better acknowledging suffering as a reality, as an experience of life that's coming for all of us.
It could rekindle a new awareness of community if we start to claim the problems that are in our neighborhood, on our block. Americans are very generous and they respond graciously with compassion, but I think it's also an acceptance that sometimes there are problems you can't fix. Someone that has ALS or Parkinson's, you can accompany them, and that's difficult for us. We're doers, we want to fix things, and sometimes the fix is in loving that person and accompanying them.
Yes, we call it witness to the anguish. If all you can do for someone is witness their anguish, you've done something powerful.
And you've told them their life matters. You're glad they woke up and that their life's meaningful and that there's hope. I guess ultimately it is a spiritual challenge, isn't it? Because at some point there's death, and then what? How does this person approach that moment in their life?
Well, I always think of it, my expectations maybe are different, but I always think we're born into time, we're conceived, and that's the beginning of it. And if you have a long life, it will still be short. compared to your experience of eternity. You know, so this is just one part of it. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. We go on. Everybody you talk to would say, oh, my mother died or my father died, and I felt he was with me in this moment. What does that say? We go on. We know this. Everyone has spiritual experiences of the ancestors.
Now that is a hopeful
Yeah.
hopeful thing.
Mm-hmm.